Ladies and gentlemen, Austin, Laresia, and Josiah Avery.
Hi, my name's Josiah, and I like to build. My mom, she loves reading. My dad, he loves watching documentaries. And because of all this, today we present a wonderful talk about all these things.
Thank you, Josiah. Good job. Josiah is 7 years old. He has been going with meetings with us since he was a baby. Surprisingly, he did well. There was no crying or whining during those times. He first took the stage with us in 2023 at one of our annual galas for our Hungernomics, our nonprofit. And so since then, we have begun to harness Josiah's energy for talking, because he does not stop talking. So he is not at all forced to speak with us at any time, but we were able to tap into what he likes to do. And so we were able to have him on stage with us today. And he also mentioned that I like to read, we like to watch documentaries. And because of that, I want to start off first with sharing some inserts from a manual we co-authored a couple years back. As I ponder over the present state of our government, country, corporate entities, and the family units, I see a scary decay happening before our very eyes. I ask myself, what happened? How did this happen? Later, it was revealed to me that the foundations had been broken. Now, most of us have a basic understanding of a foundation. As a matter of fact, there are a few A, B, and C definitions of a foundation. But the one I find most fitting is as follows. To have good, strong, vital relationships in life, you need a strong foundation. This means having excellent communication skills, a high capacity for love, empathy for others, and so on. If you want to receive it, you must give it. If you want to be empowered by other people, you must enable others. Then the second insert goes, the family. The family unit is the very foundation of the government and church. Without a secure family unit, we crumble. Now at this point, I hope you're not wondering why I shared those two inserts. But if you still are, let's dive a little deeper into our talk for today. Now, today we want to introduce the discovery of an electrified world. So we're going back into the past just a little bit, maybe more on a national level. We've heard a lot of good history about our local past on today. So to go back a little bit forward into a national level, you'll see that we want to introduce a concept that back in the 1900s, 1890s to be exact, there was something that was going on, some tussling that was happening to discover some things about harnessing energy and power. Now you see here about the broader world of the currents, something that was happening in that time. So we want to be able to let you all know that this was happening and being harnessed in households in America and beyond. And you may also wonder, why are we sharing this? Again, we love to read and we love documentaries. But also we want you to know that the family not only has a purpose, but a power.
And today we aim to make the case that not only does the family have a purpose and a power, but we truly believe that we want to focus on, like back in the day when Niagara Falls was trying to harness the power, when they were trying to harness the power of Niagara Falls, we believe today that another race has begun that is also trying to harness the power of another relatively untapped power source. Now, unlike back in those days, in Edison's time and in Tesla's time, us being successful would do more than provide power for just the Northeast or the entire Northeast region. We believe that if we're successful in this race, we have the potential to provide power for every single household in the world. And again, unlike in Edison and Tesla's day, the power sources that are being focused on are not DC, direct current, nor is it AC, alternating current, but instead the source of power that's being focused on in today's era is that of a unified household vision, which has a potential payoff that far exceeds what the current U.S. national debt is, which is $34 trillion and climbing.
My parents have given you a lot of information about harnessing power. So let's take a step further and talk about how to establish a plan for the household that can be used for generations to come.
That's all right. Did it go on?
I think that's the last slide.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we had another slide that talks about a few things that we want to find for the family that's also on the individual level as well as the family level. I think we got our slides back. Did we?
We did not.
Okay, all right. And so I just go off the top of my head then. And so we want to make sure that we've given you information and blasts from the past instances about this current, this power, this harnessing this power, and what is that really about? What Josiah said, we did share some information, but to kind of bring all of that together, we found some ways that we want to make sure that the family can really be 100% in what they're doing. And then we're not just talking, this has not just been theory for our family. We had experiences in neighborhoods that we've been in the middle of gunfights and gun shootouts. We've had great experiences where we've been in nice experiences with nice neighborhoods and just different things that we've experienced as a family. So we're saying things that we have also lived and learned for ourselves. And a couple things we've learned, first start with the individual level. And one of those pitfalls, there are a couple pitfalls that we found. One of those pitfalls is number one at the individual level, not having tapped into your creativity. And you may ask, why is being creative important, or why would not having tapped into your creativity be a pitfall at all for anyone? Well, as an individual, I recently read a quote that says, creativity is the place where you find yourself. When you go to your place of creativity is where you discover who you really are. And to take that a little bit further, because of our beliefs and our faith, we recently learned that what you learn about God first, or what you read about God first, is that he was creative. In the beginning, God created, so on and so forth. So how fitting is it that you find yourself in your creativity? So the next pitfall that we found was unfulfilled desires. Now, this is a big thing that you may not have been aware of, but there are places in your own life where you feel void, something that's always missing. And when you have that void or missing piece, you're always doing different things to try to discover what that is. Some of those things are not the right things to do to discover what that is. So you're always kind of off track and confused with that. Another thing we found with unfulfilled desires is that you're kind of in your adult way through a toddler temper tantrum, meaning you can't really figure out what's going on, so you act out with it. You act out with not trying to figure out what's going on with my mind, my body. I just can't get right. I feel confused, which we have experienced with Josiah. Like, Josiah, come on, man, what's up? What's going on? And he's later able to communicate to us what that means when he's not feeling in the right place for him, when the desire that he has is not being fulfilled. Now, at the family level, what we found a pitfall to be is lack of quality communication, which is no new news to anyone. Like we said earlier in those inserts, high capacity, of course, for excellent communication and love. So without that good communication in your family amongst one another, because the family is the first thing you wake up to and go to sleep to, right? Before you go into work, before you go into school, it's your family. And so with quality communication, you are able to discover the passions of each family member. And then you're also able to observe the proficiencies of each family member. So that's a great way to be able to say, hey, what can we do together to really be at 100% and not just to live? We're not here just to exist. We're here really to live a life that's full of fulfilled desires. And the last pitfall we see at the family level is a lack of a unified household vision. Everyone is operating in silos. No one is really getting along. And we try to figure out what's wrong with the children? What's wrong with the parents? We can't figure this thing out. And when it's not right in the household, of course, it carries out to the schools, to work, to the streets, and you begin to see all those missing pieces of not having that. And you may say, well, what's so important about all of us getting along, about all of us having a unified household vision? Well, you may not find it important to you, but you will be aware of why it is important later on in the future. So again, remember, we believe the family not only has a purpose, but a power.
And so to build upon that, I think now is a great opportunity for us to slow it down. Now that we say we believe that a unified household vision is the solution to tapping into an exponential power source, for me to talk about, we know the pitfalls, but how do we implement something that will take care of that? Now, my family and I, we have been on what we would consider to be a decade-long case study, right? And for that entire decade, we've narrowed it down to 2 focus areas, right? Not 200, not 100, not 50, not 10, not 5, just 2, right? But in order for those to be articulated to you in a manner that you can take the information, that you can then digest the information, and then that you can apply that information to your life, I truly believe that we have to introduce you all to some age-old principles that we have started to, as a family, commonly refer to as the BFMRS management principles. What do those mean? First is be fruitful. You have to produce something, right? And a family household vision is something that you could produce. Next, once you produce it, you need to make sure that you multiply that thing, meaning make sure that it's replicable, right? Then we transition over to the R, right, in that manner, and that means replenish. But in this manner, that means to make sure that it is distributable, right? And the last one is going to be the S, which stands for subdue, meaning that once you produce something, you're fruitful, right? Then next you make sure that it's replicable. Then the next thing you do is make sure that it's distributable. You subdue it, meaning you master it and you dominate. Now that's good, all said and done, right? But that focuses on leverage. That's the first focus area. The next focus area is always legacy. As you can see, here is our legacy right here. So we produce something, we make sure that it is replicable. Now we're replenishing it, we're distributing it to you all through him. And next after that, we're gonna make sure that we subdue it. We're gonna master this thing and we're gonna dominate, and we're gonna teach him how to master it, and we're gonna teach him how to dominate. But then the next thing you focus on after leverage is legacy. Legacy always comes behind leverage, right? And so now that when you focus on legacy, I believe that you have to jump back to the second part of those age-old principles, which is management. And the reason why I say manage is because a wise man once says, God retards growth wherever there's no management, which means that if you don't manage a thing, you will lose it. You can ask my old bank account, I didn't manage it, so I lost it. You can ask my old house, I didn't manage it, so I lost it. You can even ask my old marriage. I didn't manage that, but now I do, and I lost that. I will never lose this. And so the same thing is true for you all. We say that if you can start to create something, be fruitful, manage, multiply, replicate, subdue, and then if you manage it, it will last.
Again, remember, we believe the family not only has a purpose, but a power. Thank you.
Thank you.